NBA Finals are here. Thursday night, game one. I'm going to give you a full breakdown of this entire series and also free plays for side, total, player props. Game one series, free plays coming up with analysis right here, right now. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, right back here on WagerTalk TV. I've done every NBA playoff game this postseason, so why stop now? Let's do every game of the NBA Finals as well for free here on WagerTalk TV. If you're finding it useful, thumbs up, like, positive comments below, and I will keep these videos coming every game of the Finals. First game is Thursday night, 8:30 Eastern on ABC National TV, and both teams are well rested. In fact, the Thunder have been off for a full 7 days. Pacers did not clinch in 5. Otherwise, they would have had 6 days off. But no, they needed the sixth game back at home on Saturday. So they're coming in 4 days off and having to travel. So travel situation definitely favors OKC in the rest situation. And by the way, 7 days off is not a rust situation. 10 times over the last couple of decades, we've had a team with a rest edge, a substantial rest edge, and they usually fare pretty well in game one. In fact, just rested home teams in game one have done extremely well. My colleague Ralph Michaels had a great Instagram post, and make sure you follow Wager Talk on Instagram for all these great tidbits. But it popped up the other day that home teams are incredible in game one. I believe it was 18-2 straight up, 17-3 against the spread the last 20 game ones of the NBA Finals, just blindly playing on the home team. And if they've had 3 days of rest or more, it's an incredible 16-1. So the Thunder with the 7 days of rest and home court should do quite well in game one. But the line is big. In fact, this is the second highest point spread we've had in the past 20 years in game one. And guess what? Ding, ding, red flag alert. That's right, public dog alert. Public looks like they're pretty heavy on Indiana here. So that gives me a little less apprehension about laying the big number with Oklahoma City. And obviously that game one trend that Ralph Michaels pointed out is extremely strong. Rested home teams in this spot are 16-1 in game one with 3 days of rest or more of the past few decades. And the fact that the public is leaning towards the Pacers, I think the Thunder get out to a nice win here in game one. Want to pop up a chart, though, that Ralph Michaels sent me. And don't forget, you can follow Stat Daddy, the human database, the pin, father of Jeff, on Twitter at CalSportsLV. And Ralph Michaels is also, of course, on WagerTalk.com. He does great work each and every day on the network. Look at this chart here. Now, you'll notice the teams in red are teams that won that lost the series overall with home court advantage. If you'll notice, this is the last 21 NBA Finals that Ralph sent over. Actually, it's the last 20 NBA Finals because the 21st is at the top. There are no results yet between the Pacers and the Thunder. But the last 20 times, the home team has won 15 of the 20 series. And that's important because Thunder are a big price series, about minus 700 in some spots, minus 650 in others. But once again, about a 75% chance that the home court advantage team wins the NBA Finals 15 of the last 20 times. And you'll notice in that chart on the right there, the straight-up result, ATS result, that's the game one result that I was referring to. And you'll see how the home court game one team is 18-2 straight up the last 20, and they've gone 17-3 against the spread. But what's interesting is one of the teams that lost the series overall was a big home favorite in game number one. I'm sorry, they lost game one but won the series, was the Cavaliers-Warriors series back in 2017 there. You'll see that one actually, I believe, went to overtime. It did. You'll see OT on the right. 2 of these 20, by the way, have gone to OT. And once again, that's a situation in which the home team won, the Warriors, but they didn't cover the big number. And that's the only spread, by the way, that's been bigger than this current of 9.5. And you'll see the 2 years ago, we had the Nuggets as a 9-point favorite over the Heat in game one as well. And the Nuggets won that one by 11, did cover, and went on to win the series. So once again, this is a great breakdown. You can pause the video here and look at it yourself. This courtesy of Ralph Michaels, Cal Sports LV on Twitter, on X, and of course at WagerTalk.com. But once again, bodes well for the home team in game one and also the home team in the series in general. I'm not going to buck that trend. I think the Thunder win this series. So there's different ways you can play it, of course. You could take a look at them on the series price, anywhere from minus 600 to minus 700, or get them down on a minus 1.5, even minus a 2.5. I think they probably win this either 4-2 or 4-1. By the way, the format has switched in recent years. If you notice, back in the 2011 season, it was the 2012 Finals. If you recall, the Thunder, the only time they'd made the NBA Finals, they actually were one of those teams that won game one and lost the series. They were one of those 5 teams. They won game one at home by 11 against the Heat as a 5-point favorite, and then lost the next 4 games to Miami back in the 2012 Finals 13 years ago, if you recall that. So Thunder are one of the 5 teams that did it, but not the same lineup, obviously. What a loaded lineup that was. James Harden was coming off the bench, although in my opinion, the most overrated superstar in the NBA deserves to be on the bench. But they had Westbrook in his prime, Kevin Durant, Harden off the bench. They won game 1, but lost the next 4. But what I wanted to point out was that was the 2-3-2 format, and Miami had 3 straight games, including game 5 at home. That is not the format anymore. They keep this consistent. They used to do the conference finals different than the NBA finals because of the West Coast, East Coast stuff. They don't do that anymore. This is a 2-2-1-1-1 format like we've had in every round of the playoffs this season. So OKC has games 1, 2, 5, and 7 at home. Indiana has 3, 4, and 6 on the road. So that does factor in a little bit to how you play the series price. That was my point. I do think OKC having game 5 back at home could win this in 5. So laying the -2.5 and get that series price way down from the -650 that it currently is. But once again, I don't like the Pacers at +500. They're a big dog for a reason. And the other reason I think this is a little bit of a mismatch, let's look at the regular season numbers. First of all, in the playoffs, these have been 2 very good teams. Indiana, though, not quite as good as you might think. Oklahoma City, by the way, in the playoffs, the best defensive rating so far. Not a surprise. They were the best defensive team in the regular season also. But Indiana's only 9th in defensive efficiency this postseason out of all 16 teams. And overall offensive efficiency, 2nd and 3rd. Indiana and OKC, 2nd and 3rd. Cleveland's the only one that ranks higher, and that's because they just blew out Miami in the first round, even though they only played 9 games total. But once again, Indiana, Oklahoma City, the 2 best overall offensive teams, but OKC's had a huge edge defensively in the playoffs. Indiana's still only the 9th efficiency defense. And net rating, which is, once again, Cleveland had the best net rating because they blew out. The first round was the biggest blowout round ever. But OKC has the best net rating otherwise, almost double anybody else in the playoffs this postseason, 11.2 net rating. Indiana, got to go way down the list to find the Pacers on their net rating. Well, not really. 4th, but they're only 4.1. So OKC has a pretty substantial net rating here in the postseason. But let's go back to the regular season, which I think is more all-inclusive and telling of the talent of these 2 teams. Regular season, OKC, the number 1 defense in the NBA, as I mentioned, efficiency-wise. Indiana was only 9th. OKC was number 3 offense. Indiana was number 9 on offense. But OKC was number 1, of course, on defense. Indiana, you got to go way down to 14th. So huge defensive edge in this series for the Thunder. And that's important because Indiana is an offensive team. They don't win with defense. And I think Oklahoma City matches up for that reason. As far as net rating, Oklahoma City was 3 points ahead of both Boston and Cleveland. And they were substantially ahead of Indiana, nearly 10.5-point net rating ahead of Indiana that finished only 13th in the regular season. You know, the Knicks were not a great team. They took advantage of Boston with 2 monster comebacks and then Tatum going out. They never win that series otherwise. And the Pacers took advantage of an injured Cavaliers squad. Otherwise, they don't get by in that round. So Indiana's really fortunate to be here, just like they were back in 2000, the only other time they've ever been to the finals. So I do think this is a bit of a mismatch. And the fact that the public is all over Indiana in game 1 makes me like the Thunder even a little bit more. So we're going to fade the public in game 1 and in the series. I like the Thunder, a bunch of different ways to play it. If OKC's coming off a loss at any point in this series, obviously that would be the preferred side as well. I think Indiana probably gets game 3 at home. That's going to be the strongest spot for the Pacers. But this could very well be a 4-1 or 4-2 series, in my opinion. Thunder have been a much better team at home, by the way, so that's another reason if they don't win it in 5, could get a little dicey having to win it in 6 back at Indiana in a couple weeks. All right, let's look at the total here. We'll glance at some player props on the way up, but I want to focus on the game total here because, once again, very big game total. I should have mentioned it earlier when we had the chart up, but the last 20 NBA finals, if you look, there's nothing near the total like this. In fact, I think the highest one over the last few years. There we go. Dan the Man Alexander, as you know, producing these videos, always does a great job popping up the charts. And once again, this is courtesy of Ralph Michaels, Stat Daddy at Cal Sports LV. You see there in the middle column, you got the line for games 1 and then the total. And once again, the teams in red are teams that had home court advantage and lost the series. But otherwise, these are all game 1 numbers, the rest, the line, the result. And last year, we had a pretty big game 1 total, 217.5 between the Mavericks and Celtics. And it landed just 196, well under the total. And then, of course, if you look at some other ones in recent history, the year before that, the Heat Nugget 219 landed at 197. We had a 220 back in the 2021 finals between the Suns and Bucks, and that landed 223. Barely got up and over the total. That was the only total that was anywhere near this one recently, and this is now 231. Just incredible how high this total is. And yes, these are two fast-paced teams. I talked about how they're both good offenses, but we got the best defense in the league in OKC. However, if you look at the pace rating this year, these were both top 3 pace ratings in the regular season. In fact, overall pace and tempo, these are two of the fastest teams. Actually, I'm sorry, regular season, they were 5th and 7th. Postseason, though, is what I wanted to say was top. Postseason, they both, Oklahoma City and Indiana, have ranked 2nd and 3rd this postseason. So they were fast in the regular season, both top 7. They're both top 3 here in the postseason. So they are playing faster than your average playoff teams play. But I think that's priced into this total. Game ones in general in big finals and even, Class A teams, Pacers borderline Class A team, but still unders usually show here. And obviously the history shows that, yes, it's a big total for a good reason. They play fast, but I think it's priced to perfection. I would lean under 231 in game one here. And I think that also favors the Thunder side. Once again, if you favor the Thunder in the series, they're going to be more Thunder under, Pacers over. We talked a lot about that in the New York Knicks series, and it worked to perfection. Knicks unders in the 2 games they won, Pacers overs, including that game 6, which I gave you in the video. I said Pacers and over is correlated. I think Indiana over, Oklahoma City under, somewhat correlated in this series. So I would lean under 231. If you're looking at this one, it opened 229.5. It's up to 231. 31.5 is starting to show again. The public looks like they're on the over. So I would fade the public on both sides in total. Public likes Indiana in the over. I'm going to go the other way, Thunder and under here in game 1 of the series in general. But once again, wanted to point out historically how big this total is for a game 1 NBA Finals. And we've seen higher totals the last few seasons, like I mentioned, and those still stayed well under. Wouldn't be shocked to see the same thing happen here in game number 1. Indiana's obviously going to probably live on the 3-point shot here, and that makes the player props a little bit dicey. We're going to take a wait-and-see approach, which I normally like to do with most series as far as player props. We use the zigzag a lot in the NBA playoffs for sides and totals. We use them for player props as well. So we'll see which guys are in the rotation. We'll look at minutes. We'll look at shot attempts, and then we'll take it from there. By the way, I want to point out these teams played twice last year, twice this year, of course, because they're non-conference opponents. Indiana did win both games last year in the regular season by double digits. However, Jalen Williams did not play in either game for the Thunder last year, so got to be a little cautious with those. They were high-scoring, 238, 232 points last year. This year, the 2 games also were high-scoring and soared over the totals, 234 and 243. So once again, I lean under in game 1, but that's why the total is high, and they were high-scoring shootouts, which does give you some concern. OKC, by the way, won both regular season meetings this year by 6 and by 21. They did trail in that first meeting at Indiana back on December 26th, had to overcome a 15-point deficit to pull ahead and win by 4. They dominated the revenge game, or not the revenge game, but the rematch at home on March 29th. More recently, had a 25-point lead. Indiana led by 10 early, but the Thunder smoked them after that and ended up winning by 21 in that game. And some box score stuff we'll look at. Both teams were healthy in the full game, so they are kind of a good barometer to look at. In that most recent win, SGA had 33 points, took 23 shot attempts. Jalen Williams, 7 for 14, 18 points, but he was 7 for 14 shooting. Dort, 6 for 7 from three-point range with 22 points, 8 for 11 shooting. He hasn't done much this postseason, but he was a monster in that game back in March. We'll see if it continues. And he, by the way, took 13 shot attempts in the other game at Indiana back in December and was 3 for 8, 13 points. So, yes, Dort could be a little bit of a sleeper if you're looking for a player prop over here in game 1, as he definitely got more shots and points than he has in recent games. So he matched up well against the Indiana in the 2 regular season meetings this year. As far as Indiana player props go, obviously if Indiana succeeds, Halliburton and Siakam have to get it done. When they struggle, they usually don't. Siakam's a little more consistent, but he only had 11 points in that loss back in March. 1 for 5 from 3, only took 11 shot attempts, played 27 minutes. Was a little bit limited once it became a blowout. He had 22 points, 7 for 14 in the other meeting. Halliburton in the first meeting, even though Indiana lost by 6 and had a 15-point lead, Halliburton did absolutely nothing. 35 minutes, took only 6 shot attempts, and had only 4 points, 8 assists. And then we look at that rematch, and with Indiana, he got blown out. He played 28 minutes. He took more shots, was 6 for 12, 4 for 9 from 3, but still finished with just 18 points and only 3 assists. Halliburton unders on both assists and points might be worth a look here in game one, especially if the Pacers struggle, as most road teams do in game one of the NBA Finals. And once again, we'll take a deeper dive into NBA playoff props, player props, games 2 on after we see how game one plays out. But those are some guys. Halliburton under, Dort over might be worth a look initially in game one. Hey, what are your thoughts on this series, this game one finals on Thursday night? Side, total, player props. What are you looking at? Drop your comments below in the chat. I do truly read the comments and I'll reply back. And I honestly believe we have some of the smartest and sharpest sports betting viewers on the entire internet, worldwide, right here on WagerTalk TV. So I want to hear your comments on the game. Hey, drop some analysis if you have time. Let's learn and earn and win together here on WagerTalk TV. And once again, if you're enjoying every NBA playoff game for free here, including the finals, thumbs up, like, positive comments below. That's all I ask, and I will keep them coming each and every day. In between, though, trying to drop some baseball free play videos. We got a lot of baseball content now. Make sure you click subscribe and you click that bell for an instant alert so you never miss out when free baseball videos are posted daily here on this channel as well. Your next NBA Finals game, by the way, will be Sunday night, so I'll get that up probably on Friday, maybe into Saturday. So click that bell and that bell for an instant alert so you know also when the NBA Final videos go up each and every day here on WagerTalk TV. Final note, on the way out, we do have some special offers I want to point out at WagerTalk.com. I do have my 1-year all-access pass discount code up. SM365 gets you $811 off the 1-year all-access football, baseball, basketball. But also, if you want a smaller package, I know some of you haven't quite built your bankroll yet for the 1-year all-access, or you're new, you want to try things out. Well, now's a great time to do a 7-day sampler because you can get 7 days for just $77. And you do the math. It's quite simple. 7 days for $77 works out to exactly $11 a day. And you got to have a promo code for this one. Game on 77. Game on 77 gets you 7 days and nights of all sports. That'll include every baseball best bet I release and my NBA Finals best bets. Well, let's see. If you sign up for game one, you're going to get Thursday, Sunday, next Monday. Next Wednesday, I believe. You get 3 days out of those 7. So it's a nice time to try a 7-day all sports sampler and get the NBA Finals and my baseball every day for just $77. That's 7 days, as you see on the screen, for just $77 with promo code GameOn77. Once again, full details on the screen right there. Works out to just $11 a day for basketball and baseball. I average about 2 to 3 best bets per day. Hey, that's less than $5 a play on average. Everyone gets excited about $5 Tuesday. You get one play a week for $5. How about making every day for the next week less than $5 Tuesday? And that's, once again, 7 days for just $77 with promo code GameOn77 on my page right now, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And hey, get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. As I said, I'm very selective. 2 to 3 best bets per day on average for my all sports clients. And it's such a simple method. If I have a play, I give it to my clients. There's no extra clubs, no extra levels to buy. I've been doing this for 29 years now, since 1996, as a full-time professional handicapper. And I've won consistently now for the past 4 decades as a professional capper. If you want the same games I'm using every day, become a direct client. You can do a 1 day. You can do a 7 day. A 1 day, by the way, is $39. The 7-day special, $77 for 7 days. That's a great deal. Or the 1-year all access for about $1 a play with promo code SM365. More details on my homepage. No matter which package you choose, you get the same plays I'm using every day. And I'm selective. 2 to 3 best bets on average, which means that last cut that's just a bit outside for making the best bet card is a pretty strong opinion still. I don't want to waste it. I post it for free every day on my page. So go check out the best bets, the special offers, and get that bonus daily free play with analysis right now. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, and get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. Hey, on the way out, you can also follow me on social media. I post the free plays, the links to these videos on my X page each and every day at Steve Merril. 2 R's, 1 L. You know the deal. It's on the bottom of the screen there in the corner. 2 R's, 1 L at Steve Merril on X and Instagram. And stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV because you also know there's more free play videos coming up next.